Hello, hello, colleagues and scholars. Welcome to my channel. I am Dr. Pemberton of Endis Education, and it is the eve of Christmas. That's right, it's the eve of Christmas, December the 24th. And so, one of my goals was to come to you really starting the day after Christmas and just provide you with words of encouragement, like from the day after Christmas all the way up until the starting of the brand new year. And then, as I always do, come to you throughout the year, sharing with you just different tips regarding how you can improve yourself in the world of education. But I did not want to hold or delay because of a recent news that was provided or given out in regards to student loans. And I think this is very, very important as you are preparing to not just celebrate the holidays, but prepare to end this physical year and move into another year. So one of the things that I typically do in the month of December is I work towards looking at my goals that I set for myself for this that year, and then after I look at the goals, of course, I look at what I've accomplished. I write down the different accomplishments, and even some of the accomplishments, some of the goals that I set but didn't necessarily accomplish, and there are a few. As usual, of course, we have goals that we did not accomplish, but what did I do to get closer to the finish line, and what adjustments do I need to make in order to get to the finish line with those goals that I did not make. But one of the things that I also do is not just look at my goals I do that from an educational perspective, and also from a professional perspective, but also economically. And so one of my goals I've been working towards, and I said before this year ends, I wanted to position myself in a different way when it comes to economics, because again, I'm getting older. So I don't want to be at a disadvantage when I decide to retire. Also, I want to make sure that I am at a good position for my children so that as I get older, financially, I don't want them to have be a burden to them financially, health wise. So I want to make sure I have my ducks in a row so that they don't have to worry about how to pay for certain things when it comes to their mother or grandmother, my grandkids. Also, I want to leave them with something. I don't want to just leave and take everything with me to the grave. I want to leave them with some type of legacy economically because that's really important to me. So, but as we talk about that, one of the things that piqued my interest is when I was watching the news, is the student loan discussions. And so, what I want to do in this video is focus on student loans for today, no, December the 24th. And then the next couple of days after Christmas, of course, I wanted to just talk about how we can set up ourselves economically. And I want to speak specifically to the communities of those who are in my age group in the 50s and 60s. Okay. And of course, if you're in your 40s and 30s, you're welcome to watch. But for the next probably couple of months or so, I want to talk to those of you who are in my age bracket. I want to make sure that we are on the same page when it comes to economics, where we can take advantage of opportunities that are out there for us, and then also pivot economically if we are not stable where we need to be, because a lot of times people go through hardships. We all do. I've gone through several, had to reset the clock on several of my economic endeavors just because life is lifing and circumstances created situations in my life where I had to make some adjustments to make sure that I was where I needed to be economically. My foundation financially was a lot more stable. I had to just do a lot of different things. So we're going to talk about all of that in the upcoming days after Christmas, but also I'm going to just put a platform together so that I can be supportive to my wonderful colleagues and those of you who are in my age bracket, so that we can be more efficient with our finances, much more smarter, and making sure that we're investing, which is important, and we have our retirement funds set up. And so I'm doing my own research. And again, I always like to share this. Whatever I share with you on my podcast, it is not saying that this is the only way, the only route to take, or the only strategy to use. Again, I'm sharing with you my information. I'm sharing with you my strategy, which works for me. something, what I do, my strategy may work for me, but not necessarily works for you because it depends on where you are in life. It depends on your personality, what makes you tick, what works for you. But I'm just sharing with you my best practices that has worked for me. So that's what I want to share. So now let me talk a little bit about some facts because I was waiting for this information to come out, and I had a feeling that we would hear more about student loans towards the end of the year, or at least at the beginning of the year. But with our current administration, which is what they're great at doing, they are great at putting some big bombshells out there economically that catches our undivided attention. And so, one, we should not be surprised, but we need to be not be surprised, but to be prepared. So let me talk a little bit about the one big beautiful act that was passed by our current president in regards to student loans. And I'm just going to read the information because I don't want to misinterpret or misrepresent what that bill states in regards to student loans. So the first thing is our president recently, our president enacted significantly changes to the federal student loan. So if you have been under a rock and you're not aware of it, you should be aware. That's so very, very important to you. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I hit my camera, so let me make sure I get that set up. Okay, so now the federal student loan system has been changed through what is called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which focuses on limiting borrowers and consolidating payments. Okay, so that's already been established and been worked. They have been working on that since mid-summer, I believe, or something like that. So what it does is ending most broad forgiveness initiatives and resumes wage garnishments for defaulted borrowers. So the key aspects, and again, I am reading this. This is information that is factual, so I don't want to misrepresent. I'm just going to provide you with what the how the big beautiful bill impacts student loans, and then I'm going to provide you with some tips that I believe will be helpful for you as you are moving forward and preparing for the year of 2026. So now, some of the key aspects of his administration, our president's administration and position and policies include resuming involuntary collections. So what that means is the administration is going to end the pandemic era pause on collection activities. So remember, know this, if you had student loans, the pandemic, there was a pause on collections of student loans, okay? And so if you didn't voluntarily pay on your student loans, then now you have to start getting back into the rhythm and put that into your budget of student loans, making your repayments to your student loans. So now, if you're in default, our president has talked about wage garnishments, which means the Department of Education will begin garnishing the wages of borrowers who have defaulted on their federal student loans, starting with notices sent to about 1,000 borrowers in 2026, with plans to scale up the process monthly. The government can garnish up to 15% of your disposable pay, okay, up to 15%. And I'll get more into details in another podcast, but I just wanted to give you some schematics in regards to garnishing wages and the structure of student loan collections. Other collections are set to include the administration is going to resume collecting on defaulted debt by withholding tax refunds and federal payments. Okay, so that's another way that they're looking to collect student loans. And this looks kind of crooked, so excuse me, I'm trying to fix my camera. All right, now ending forgiveness plans. Okay, so we talked about resuming involuntary collections. Now let's discuss ending forgiveness plans. So the administration has actively worked to roll back or terminate broad student loans forgiveness programs implemented by the Biden administration. So some of that includes the termination of SAVE plans, where the administration announced an agreement to end the Saving on a Valuable Education, which is the SAVE plan, which had nearly 8 million borrowers enrolled. If approved in federal courts, borrowers will have a limited time to enroll in a new plan. So the SAVE plan will no longer exist, and you have to enroll into a new plan. And then also, ending forgiveness plans includes no mass forgiveness. The Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, stated that there will not be any mass loan forgiveness. and emphasized that the executive branch lacks the constitutional authority to counsel debt broadly. So that will no longer exist, or they're looking at ending that. The mass forgiveness, and then the PSLF changes to the public service loan forgiveness program were ordered to exclude workers of nonprofit groups whose work is deemed to have a substantial illegal purpose. So if you work for a nonprofit organization, then they are looking to not apply the public service loan payments program to you if you're working for a nonprofit, because they are deeming those organizations as existing for illegal purposes. So keep that in mind for those of you who are working for nonprofit organizations, because of course, as they trickle down to education, they're going to trickle down to the nonprofits as well. So just pay attention to those discussions and the verbiage that's being used. The third thing, so the first one I spoke on was resuming involuntary collections. Number two, ending forgiveness plans. And then number three, consolidating and limiting loans. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act fundamentally reshaped the federal student loan system. And I spoke about this a little bit in another podcast, but I wanted to give a little bit more details regarding what that looks like, what consolidating and limiting loans looks like. So the first thing is repayment payment plan limits. The number of federal students loan repayment options has been reduced from 5 to just 2. Okay. Borrowing caps exist now. New caps were placed on the amounts of students, what students can borrow, particularly for graduate school programs, to reduce the overall debt burden and incentivize lower program costs. The goal is to lower program costs. Will that happen? That time will only tell. And then the third thing under consolidating and limiting loans includes agency shifts. President Trump, our president, has proposed moving the entire student loan portfolio from the Department of Education to the Small Business Administration, SBA. So you need to look at now what the regulatory standards looks like, especially with SBA, because SBA is changing. The look of SBA is changing as well. So the overall message, again, is that our current administration and president is that borrowers must repay their loans with an emphasis on returning to payment and fiscal responsibility. So that's the goal. All right. So now, whether you feel good, great, excited, sad, despair, stress behind the idea of having to repay your student loan, at the end of the day, student loans, they're looking at getting those student loans repaid. Okay. So, and that debt to be reduced. So now, where does that put you, and what does that position look like? I'm going to just share a couple of tips in my research. And again, these are not tips. Well, some of them are personal tips that I've researched and looked to provide to you. But again, these tips are available in the World Wide Web. But I just want to provide you with some tips to hopefully help you so that as you are preparing financially and economically, what your world is going to look like for 2026, if you do have student loans, first of all, you need to include that repayment of student loans in your budget. It is better to start paying on your student loans than to have your check garnished. Because most of us live paycheck to paycheck. We cannot afford a check to be garnished at all. And so one of my goals is to talk about how you can get yourself, ahead of the game when it comes to your finances. But let me just focus on student loan tips. The first thing is this, and this is so serious. You must know what you owe. Okay. Please do not be in the abyss about what you owe. And you have to know what you owe, which means you have to redirect your funds. If you're a person that goes out to eat all the time, it is time for you to go shopping, buy your food, start planning your finances about how you eat, how you do activities. If you're a person that likes to go to the movies, go to the movies. You might want to scale it down a bit if you're a person that goes all the time. If you have all of these different streaming apps that you're paying for, you might want to reduce your streaming apps, find out what apps are available through, say, for instance, your cell phone that you have to pay for. A lot of times those organizations, those agencies and companies have free streaming apps for you. You might want to use that. Those streaming apps might want to find out. Also, if you're paying for other apps that are for pleasure, Again, you might want to start shutting those apps down and use those funds to be redirected towards paying for your student loans. Again, it is better to pay towards your student loans than to have your check garnished. None of us can afford to have a check garnished because again, that can impact how you live, paying your lease, your rent, your house note, whatever, paying your electric bill, car note, whatever bills that you have on a monthly basis. So you do not want your check to be garnished, okay? So know what you owe. Writes down the total balance and the interest rates because those are two different things. And then the types of loans that you have. For instance, you will either have a subsidized loan and unsubsidized loans. You may have a plus loan or a private loan. So those are typically the four types of loans that you will have. You want to look at what type of loans that you have, and then this will help you to choose the right payment strategy instead of just guessing. Okay. So the first thing is know what you owe, and the way that you can learn that is to log into your student website, your student loan website, which is studentaid.gov. Okay. When you do that again, write down your total balance. Writes down what the interest rate is. Those are two different things, okay? Your balance versus the interest rate. And then the type of loan that you have. You know, some of us may have, and I say us because I've had a few, some of you may have a subsidized loan and unsubsidized loans. You may have a combination of several. One of the things that I was blessed with as I was moving forward towards my education, I did a lot of scholarshiping. Okay, I did a lot of scholarships. I didn't do all my education through scholarships, but I did a lot of scholarships, which is what I talked about in another podcast, is start looking at those scholarships that are out there for you so that you don't have to pay out of pocket or get a student loan for your education. There are scholarships available. And again, one of the things that my goals for 2026 is to ramp up information about scholarships and discuss what we can do, what you can do to help apply for some of these scholarships to pay for and cover the cost of your education. Okay, so we talked about know what you owe. Seriously, that's priority number one. Number two, choose the right payment plan that you can commit to. That means keep your job. Okay, first of all, let me say that. If you're not employed, get you a job, love. Let me tell you, get you a job, part-time job, full-time job, find you a job, get employed. And you might have to do a side hustle. You might have to go to a side job just to help get the type of economics that you need in place so that you can start paying off your loans. That's important. I've done that. I've worked at a gym overnight, 24-hour workout facility. I've worked at Six Flags. I used to DoorDash. I used to do all types of things. Whenever I found myself in an economic crunch, I would do side jobs with my main job, with my business to make sure my finances was flowing and I didn't find myself at a disadvantage, you know, or if I saw how the wheels were turning in the opposite direction, I would say, let me go get a little part-time over here just to get my finances and my resources up. So that's important. Okay, you want to do that. So anyway, choose the right payment plan. If you have a federal loan, consider Save Plan that exists right now. It's income driven repayment plan, and it's best if your income is modest. Also, there's what is called a standard plan, and it's best if you can afford it and you want to minimize your interest. Okay, so the third one is extended or graduate, lower payments, but more interest long terms. Okay, so there are a couple of plans that are out there, and typically those prepayment plans exist when you log into your account. You also want to make a phone call, talk to someone who is with studentaid.gov so they can let you know what repayments plans exist so that you can discuss with them a payment option, lock that in. You want to try to lock all of this information in before the year begins so that you're already in a rhythm. Do not wait until the last minute. Make this part of one of your Christmas presents and to get yourself financially prepared for the year of 2026. All right. So the first thing, again, we said know what you owe. That's very important. Choose the right payments plan and then pay interest. Start paying towards your interest if you can, if you're in school right now, because I believe as while you're in school, and it depends if you're in full time as a full time student. Typically, you do not have to pay on your student loan, but again, this administration changes the game all the time, the rules, so pay attention to the rules. But if that is still the case, where you are in a position where you don't have to pay on your student loan, at least pay $25 a month or so towards the interest so that you don't have a student loan plus interest that's going to hit you at the same time. Okay. The fourth thing, not the last, but the number four is, well, I said pay interest while you're in school. Number four, avoid forbearance unless it is necessary. Find out what repayment plan exists. Get on a repayment plan. Do not go into forbearance. Okay. Interest keeps growing. So income driven plans are usually safer than pausing payments. Okay. If you can pay $25, $30, and typically I think I was talking to someone, usually they want you to pay at least about $60 or $70 a month. That could be a lot, depends on what you're getting paid. But again, if you redirect your funds, not go out to eat, that's one of the things I did last year. I stopped going out to eat or purchasing Peace over here, Waterburg over there, Wendy's over there, and I just started cooking. I get, put my grocery list together, my grocery list, and go purchase my food. And I stepped up my game on cooking. And because I'm older, I don't eat as much, but I do have uh, kids and grandkids. So sometimes I'm cooking for them. And oftentimes I would be like, let me just get them something to eat right quick. But now, baby, this year I've saved a lot of money just going to buy groceries. So if you just redirect your funds and shift the way you spend your money, you can at least go into a payment plan to prevent yourself from going into forbearance. And then number five is public service forgiveness loans. Again, if you work in education, K through 12, I'm an educator. If you work in higher education, government, or right now the nonprofit sector, but it depends because again they're attacking that. You may qualify for loan forgiveness after 125 qualifying payments. So you still have to pay 120 qualifying payments. So keep up with your records and submit your employer certification every year to verify. So you need to be certified, of course, as a teacher in order to receive the public service loan repayment forgiveness. So the goal is, what I would say, look at what is considered 120 qualifying payments, right? That's quite a bit, but you want to look and see what that amount looks like, and maybe just start paying towards, the repayment plan so that you can get into a place where you can receive public service loan forgiveness. And again, the administration changes the game often, so you don't want to delay on how you can enroll in that type of program and be a participant, because the faster you get connected to the information and the resources to participate in that program, if you're an educator, then you can see the benefits, receive the benefits from the repayment plan for the public service loan repayments plan. All right, number six, smart financial advice while paying your loans. Build a small emergency fund first. Aim for about $1,000 to $2,000. This prevents new debt when life happens. Okay, and I'm going to talk more about the emergency funds and being more smart when it comes to investing, especially for those of us who are in our 50s and 60s and 70s, because I want us to be financially fit. You can still do it. Even if the bottom fell out, you can still get yourself into a financial fits circumstances situation so that you can do a better job for yourself. And if you have children, for your legacy as well. All right. And then budget with the reverse method. I use this method. This is a really good method. And so what that means is, instead of tracking every dollar, that income minus fixed bills, okay, minus loan payments, what's left equals spending. So I do this. I put, instead of tracking every dollar that I earn, I put on my spreadsheet my income, and then I subtract my fixed bills. I subtract my loan payments or whatever I have, and then whatever is left equals spending, which means this keeps the loans from being ignored. So all bills get paid first. In other words, this is a practice for me, and one of the things that I set to do, and I've done that for this year, is I try to pay 30 days in advance all of my bills. One of my goals was to get into position where I pay everything in advance, 30 days. So I have a 30-day window in case something happens financially, my money shifts, my job shifts, life shifts. I have 30 days to recover, but my bills are already paid, so I'm not at a fit. And so I'll share, for example, like my lease, my rent, my house note, my electric bills, all those things are already paid for the month of January. Now for December, I'm paying towards February, so that when I walk into January, my February bills are paid. So I wanted to get myself into that position because I always found myself behind, right? Behind on my bills, trying to play catch up, and then something happens in life. And now I am at a financial disadvantage. So what I started doing is using the reverse method. And instead of trying to pay my bills on time, my goal was to pay my bills in advance. Because sometimes I'm doing things and I'm moving forward, and it seems like usually in the fall is where I have so much on my plate, so much is going on that I pay a couple of bills, all my bills, or try to pay my bills, but something gets left off. And it's interesting because I have a tracking system, but usually around like October or somewhere, it's just so much going on, and I'm paying bills and taking care of business, and something gets left off. And then I have to look at my tracking system and say, oh my God, I forgot to pay this bill. And so, but because I'm 30 days in advance, 45 days in advance, paying that bill, I'm still not behind, right? I'm still at a good pace. And so that's why you want to get yourself into a position where you're 30 days in advance. And I know it's difficult. I know it can be tough, but I'm going to share with you, if you get like a part-time job or a side time, something, do something, whether you're publishing a book or anything, use that to put yourself 30 to 45 days in advance ahead. Don't go buy your shoes. Don't go buy the favorite things. Don't go out to eat. Use that money to put yourself ahead of the game. When you do that, that places you at an advantage. So if you have anything that happens in your world, in your life, you have a cushion called time. You have cushion on your time to be able to make those types of payments and take care of your business. All right. Number 8, don't rush to pay off loans at the expense of your retirement. Okay. If employers offers a 401k match, take it. Okay, take it. A 5% match is free money, better than aggressive loan payoffs. So please don't rush to pay off loans at the expense of your retirement. And then number 9, avoid refinancing federal loans. Usually, refinancing removes access to forgiveness. Okay, so don't do that. And I wasn't aware of this until I did my research. So avoid refinancing your loans because refinancing removes access to forgiveness. It removes income-driven repayment and removes deferment protections. So do not, if you can, avoid refinancing your federal loans. Only refinance private loans or federal loans if you're 100% sure you won't need protections. Okay. So something I didn't know is that's important. Avoid refinancing federal loans. Number 10, side income should have a purpose. Okay. Again, if you earn extra, 50% should go to your loans, 30% to your savings, 20% to have fun. So let's do a quick checklist. Checklist on number 1, make sure you know your loan types. Number 2, pick the right repayments plan. Number 3, avoid unnecessary forbearance. Number 4, save a small emergency fund. And number 5, make sure that you protect your retirement contributions. Well, I hope that the information that I share with you regarding student loans is helpful for you. If you can do me a huge favor, please like this video. Share this video with someone who you know will benefit from the information that I shared with you. And then also subscribe to my channel so that you can receive notifications whenever I post a video. All right, everybody, let's get down to business. Take care of your business. First, enjoy your Christmas, enjoy your family, and then let's get financial fit for the year of 2026. Go to my website for more information about all things education. That's endaseducation.com. That's endaseducation.com.